Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm a business strategy professor at Carnegie Mellon University, and today we're talking about something that sounds boring but actually affects almost everything you buy: tariffs. So we'll get into what are they, and obviously you've heard about tariffs in the news. Why is the US using them, and how do they impact your wallet, your job, and companies around the world? So let's break it down. But before we do, if you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's just get into it. Okay, if we were to define tariffs, it's essentially a tax on imported goods, right? It basically makes foreign products more expensive so that local products look more competitive. So as an example, if the US adds a 25% tariff on cars made in China, and if you are to buy a Chinese-made car in the US, it's going to be a lot more expensive. So this brings us to the question of why do governments use tariffs? And there could be three big reasons: to protect local businesses, to respond to what they deem as unfair trade practices, or to raise money. Obviously, in 2025, you're seeing in the news that the US government is bringing back or increasing tariffs on several countries, from electric cars, solar panels, chips, and many other goods and services. And obviously, the intention there is to say that it is to protect US jobs and technology. But of course, you also have countries retaliating by increasing tariffs on US goods and services. So now let's talk about how tariffs affect businesses. So tariffs can make running businesses harder because obviously cost of parts and materials are often imported, and then companies might have to move factories to other countries or locations, right, to avoid tariffs, right? So if you have factories in a country that is affected by tariffs, you might have to shift your supply chain to other parts. So as an example, if there's a company that makes smartphones in the US but buys parts from China, they would have to now pay more for those parts and may have to raise prices or take a hit on profits. Now, obviously, shifting your supply chain or your location of your factories from one country to the other is difficult to do because it takes years, right, to build the infrastructure in a specific country, right, and to have your goods and services made there. So what might happen to some businesses in the short term is they might delay launching new products just because it is getting to be too expensive. But in the longer term, they might choose locations that are less affected by tariffs. Now let's get into how tariffs affect consumers, right? Obviously, if companies have to pay more to build products or to create products, then consumers have to pay more too. That cost is shifted ultimately to the consumer. So everyday products like phones, clothes, even cars can get more expensive. It also means you might have fewer choices. If foreign brands cost too much, stores might stop selling them. So to summarize, what does it all mean? It means that tariffs can, of course, help protect local jobs in the short term, but they can also hurt trade and raise prices. For businesses, of course, it's a reminder to rethink supply chains and, of course, plan for uncertainty. In strategy, we talk about scenario planning, right, where businesses can look at optimistic and pessimistic what-if scenarios in order to plan better for the future. It also means that for businesses, they need to be more flexible and prepared for policy changes. And ultimately, if you're a consumer, it means higher prices are not always just because of inflation. They might also be because of international trade policies. To wrap it all up, tariffs may seem like something far away in Washington or Beijing or Seoul, but they affect the price of your next phone, the jobs in your city, and how businesses make big decisions. If you found this breakdown helpful, give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time for the next video. Bye.